Good evening, Rarchar Tortorello here with the Patriot Sentinel and Cam and Kari, my faithful friends and co-host. And we were just having a laugh at my expense. So it seems like Kari's having a hard time hearing my audio. And everything I say, she's like, I don't know if she's messing with me or not. But I think you need a vacation, Kari Rails. Like Cam, Cam took off for a week on a
Oh yeah.
cruise, and he's almost like a new man. Look at him; he's laid back, tan,
Oh, look,
brown.
wrinkles, gone,
That forehead,
gone.
that forehead got
Mm.
burned.
Oh yeah, got sun rays. Look at that. Mm. It looks like I had Botox, but nothing,
Nothing.
natural.
Vitamin D.
I want Botox. I mean, so I don't know if anybody out there that can hook me up with Botox. Let me know. Send me an email, send me a Facebook Messenger, and just put the subject line Botox. Botox,
You
in
go
fact,
see Rachel. She's
for
great.
Cam
Rachel.
and Kari. Kari, looks like you got Botox.
Rachel's great. She's
Oh,
awesome.
No,
That's what I'm
I'm
saying.
already.
You really, if that's where you want to
I
go,
got
go
the
see
hookup
Rachel.
already. Nicole does Botox too.
Oh, that's true. I forget. Yeah.
Yeah, plug
what
for
does she not
that
do? She does
company.
everything.
I know,
She does. All to the wee
I
hours of
know,
the night.
pretty much. Well, anyway, so we're starting now. That got out of the way. So from the Middle East to the Oklahoma State Capitol, the Uniparty and the corporate elites are trying to dictate how we live, but the pushback has begun. So tonight we're talking about Trump's new offensive in Iran. If you guys were not awake over the weekend, we bombed the shit out of a bunch of terrorists. And so we can have a conversation about that tonight. The fight to end woke professor tenure in Oklahoma. Kari, this ought to make you happy. Man, woke OU professors, the bane of our existence, and a massive battle over the our electric bill and property rights. Are we going to be paying for big tech's AI data centers, or are they going to take your farm to do it? But if you saw President Trump's State of the Union address and today's White House briefing, the plan is to make the data centers actually create their own electrical grid. And I think that's the way to do it. So I'm Rarchar. Kari, Cam, you want to say hi?
Hey.
Hey guys, we're back. We're back after how long? 7 days?
It seems like 3 weeks.
Yeah, it
3
seems like
long weeks. Well, let's get to work now. Hey, so the biggest news in the world right now, over the weekend, the U.S. and Israeli launched a massive targeted strike against Iran's nuclear program. On Monday, President Trump said that this campaign would last about 4 to 5 weeks. We are the American First Party. Trump ran on keeping us out of endless war. So, is this a contradiction, or is this peace through strength, Cam? Since we are both military people, and at one time, Strategic Air Command's motto unofficially was peace through strength. So, is this nation building, or is Trump neutralizing a threat, a very serious threat, so we don't have to fight another 20-year war? What's your thoughts?
See, I think that we're trying to prevent nuclear holocaust. Ultimately, we're trying to keep peace in the world, and like it or not, we're trying to keep here people in the U.S. safe. And if this is the means of, hey, you know what, stop that. Let me make sure that you guys follow our direction and policies that we have placed in the past. Cool. And it's not like this is the first time that we had a conversation through bombing. No, there has been plenty of opportunities, and yet everybody keeps trying to say Trump is bluffing. No, he does. He does not bluff. When's the last time you have heard him say, "I'm gonna do this," and it has not gone through? So this guy Trump is doing what he needs to do as the executive administrator of the U.S. and keeping us safe. Keeping our territory safe. So this is where I will say I'm glad he's our president, because can you imagine if we had Biden?
We did have Biden. Look at that disaster. So, if you read my opinion piece on the paper today, I want you guys to read it later on tonight and tell me your thoughts at the next show. But we've been fighting this Iranian scourge for like 47 years. And, for our audience who don't know what my history is, I was at Kobar Towers when we got blown up by insurgents/terrorists. And they were backed by Iran. 19 airmen died. And I know the news reports said 500 injured, but it was more like 1,000 because, we processed over 1,000 Purple Hearts. And so every president said, "Oh, let's use diplomacy to deal with Iran," and it seems like it just goes on for another 10 years. It's diplomacy while we turn the cheek, and they're out there bombing our assets, killing our soldiers. They have been, Kari, responsible since 1979 for 1,000 soldier deaths overseas in various conflicts, IEDs in Iraq and Afghanistan. I know we support the troops and we want a strong America, but I really think, Kari, I think Trump is making sure that this actually stays to a 4 to 5 week conflict and doesn't become another forever war that drains our resources. I think you may have a different opinion on this. What is that?
No, I agree. This needs to be short and sweet. Get in, get out, set precedent, and be done with it. We don't need another Saudi Arabia, Afghanistan, 25 years, thousands of soldiers gone. We don't want that. And I don't think any American on either side wants something like that. But where we have to remember, whether this lasts 4 days or 4 years, that each soldier that's out there pushing a button or pulling a trigger has to live with that, and they don't get a choice. They have to do it, right? It's you do it or else. And so when they come home, they need our support. They aren't throwaway people. They aren't an old car. And it's very important to know that we're going to end up with family members, loved ones coming home needing some real support from this.
I think since the Gulf War came, when I first came back, um, the veterans from Vietnam, that era, made sure that we came back, every one of us, to our heroes welcome. And so when I come back from my first deployment, you know, our unit, the airport was just filled with veterans, active duty, and everyone just cheering us, welcome back. Did you get the same welcome back? I know, look, you're part of the DoD. I mean, you're Navy. That's a legitimate service, right? It
My
is.
great grandpa was
Hey, we
Navy.
take for the Marines. We take for the Marines.
It is. But remember the welcome we got when we got off the plane at Will Rogers. Was that not awesome to see a bunch of people cheering for us?
See, and I've heard from Vietnam veterans how they were treated when they came back from Vietnam and how people, spit at them, call them, baby killers and all that. And like you said, I'm glad that didn't happen in our generation because I've seen where we're receiving veterans coming in, new servicemen, coming off the airplane and they're trying to figure out like where's mom and dad, and then you hear people cheering for them, congratulating them, thank you for their service. And it's earned because, when people say, hey, I did the 12 on, 12 off, sometimes it's 16 on, 8 off or less. So, it's well deserved, to have somebody giving you a thanks for, for volunteering.
Yeah.
Look, it was more like 16 on and 16 on. I can remember my first deployment. We were working 16-hour days every day. And here I'm thinking I'm going to get a Friday or a Saturday off. It's like, show up tomorrow work. We're working 7 days a week, 16-hour days. And it's no wonder when we come back to the States that, we just work through everything that's put in front of us. And we don't stop until it's done. I said, I mean, it builds a work ethos that rivals any CEO program anywhere in America. What we had to go through on deployments, and pretty soon it became just an everyday normal thing. I remember during our exercises here at Tinker Third Herd, we were doing 3 days without sleep, and when you pass that 48-hour mark, Cam, your body just absorbs. Um, it changes something in our body, our psychology, everything, where we are no longer tired. But the downside to that, Kari, is that it takes like 2 weeks to get back to a normal sleeping pattern. And but everybody goes through the same thing. Now the veterans are taken care of. When I got back from my last deployment, um, during it was a Cobra Towers bombing, courtesy of Iran. Um, it took us a long time to realize that the group that went through that, and this is similar to every other campaign during the Gulf War, the Iraqi conflict, and the Afghanistan war, is that PTSD was something that was not discussed at the time, and a lot of us had it. We just didn't know that we had it.
Yeah.
And if you worked for me, your life sucked because mine was horrible in my head. But that's the difference. The objective here, going back to Trump, is that he had intelligence. I'm not going to put that. I'm not going to put words in his mouth. We're going to have to wait for him to come out and say it. But the inside baseball is that Iran was probably close to a nuclear war. And when you have a bunch of crazies, okay, with a nuclear weapon, why are we going to sit around and wait for shit to happen to us? Okay, so Cam, we talked about the War Powers Act, Section 1, Article 8. Trump doesn't think that applies to him. He's looking at Section 2, the Commander in Chief. And so it seems like there's a conflict between the executive branch and the Congress. But I feel that Congress just doesn't have the balls to make a decision whether or not to declare war or not. And so the president shouldn't wait for these yahoos to make up their mind. So I think he's using his power effectively and with prior authorization. Cam?
So the biggest thing I'm looking at this is the last time Congress declared war on a foreign nation was in World War II. And no disrespect towards any conflict that happened from World War II to now. Everything that happened, I'm sorry, yes, but it was not declared by Congress. So if they were considered conflicts, and I think Trump is doing the right thing. What separates him from Barack Obama when he was just bombing every single 2 seconds when he was in the Middle East? Like it's
Billions
the
of dollars in
same
cash to
approach.
the Iranians. What separates
Hmm.
Trump from Obama, too? Giving billions away back to the Iranians to fund their
Hmm.
terrorist network. But go ahead and finish it up, bro.
Yeah. So think about it. Like when you are looking at all these powers, and they're like, oh, and the Constitution. Okay, he is exercising his executive power, and if there's a problem, the legislative branch can come in and fix that. Good luck on that. Good luck.
Kerry, you've been in government, you've seen it from the civilian side. Do you think Congress has no balls to make a decision? Don't forget, we hadn't declared war since World War II.
What do you mean by doesn't have balls? Like they're afraid to
Well,
make a decision?
yeah, they're afraid to make a decision. So if Congress, the left and a couple of Republicans say that it's not up to the president to do what he did, it's up to Congress to say, yes, you can proceed. But Congress can't even get together and like the Senate, they're stuck on the SAVE Act. I mean, for God's sake, Thune couldn't get his Senate to stay and vote. I think he gave them a recess for like 4 days. All right. So when we have ineffective leaders, okay,
Yeah,
should Trump, the president, look at Section 1, Article 8 of the Constitution or say, screw it, get your heads out of your asses. I'm going to Section 2 as commander in chief. This is a terrorist action. That's what I mean by
absolutely.
it.
Especially when we're talking about nuclear warfare. This wasn't a what measuring contest from overseas. This was an imminent threat, and that's the only reason I feel like we should be at war right now
Mm-hmm.
is because it's an
Mm-hmm.
imminent threat. Number one. And so, I mean, how many days does Congress get? Do they need to blow up half of California before they make a choice? No, we need to be as preventative and proactive as possible. And if it's a threat, then act on it and remove it and come home. But let's not
Well, at
try to
least
stay there and take their oil and everything else. Let's just come home.
Hey, taking their oil is a bonus. Don't forget the world and America runs on oil, so I'm okay with that. Hey, the tech guys are saying there's a problem with my video feed. Do you guys see it on your end?
No, no, I see you.
You look good.
Let's go. Let's go to I mean, let me check the video feed here. They're saying check your connection. We've been having tech issues all day. So let me see. I am
Oh, you do
streaming.
have a blonde toupee on.
You got jokes today, Carrie
Like
Rails. There you
combed
go. So
over from the side.
Not the
she's got
comb over.
yeah.
No.
This is not a comb over. Look at this. I wish I had more on top, but this is not a comb over. You can never accuse me. Hey,
No.
if you guys ever see me with a comb over, you have my permission to stab me in the F and I. Okay.
Or just grow a
Oh
mustache
my God.
only.
Got a whole bunch of. What is it? Hang on right there. Comb
Oh,
over.
stop.
Oh, look at that.
Stop. Oh my
Oh,
God.
oh.
Stop messing with your hair. I've seen these guys on YouTube. Now you gotta look, we're on a tangent now. Where they shave your head and they put a
Oh
fake
yeah, they put it.
toupee and they put super
Yes.
glue on it and they're grabbing the guy's head and he's like, oh God, it doesn't come up. Oh gosh. So I mean, if I ever decide to do that, if you guys ever see me, look, I'm trying the natural pathway of growing my hair by losing weight. Someone told me if I lost weight, my hair grows back. So I'm going to try that too. But if you ever see me with a head full of hair like old boy off Seinfeld, who's the George guy, he comes with a wig, you better
Yeah.
fucking say something. Oh, sorry. Hey, my show. You better fucking say something to me.
I'm okay. My
Sorry.
name is Rashard. No, just. Can you imagine? Just get the crap out of here, Rashard.
Oh my gosh. These comments are coming. Amber Evans, our friend. I'll remember that if I ever see you with a comb over.
Yes,
She kills me.
yes,
Oh my goodness.
yes.
Yeah,
You
what
see
she says
Rashard
is
doing
probably.
this? Rashard, what happened to you? Oh, I had to come over, guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right. All right, enough
Yeah, get back
jokes.
to
Okay, let's
business.
get back. Let's get back to what we're here for. So let's go back to. Let's bring it back to home front here in Oklahoma. So right now, there's a massive coordinated attack on the working class's energy grid. And for those that watch President Trump's State of the Union address, he addressed data centers. And I think, look, strategic value to having a data center is that look, I'm for this to have it here in America, not in China. The only problem I see, the biggest complaint is that they consume a lot of the electricity. Okay, and that drives up prices for people's who are living around data centers here. And he had a brilliant idea that with an executive order today that data centers, because it's such a strategic value to America, you guys have to generate your own electricity. Okay, and that takes it takes the pressure off communities who are fighting data centers, and rightfully so. But now, with new data centers coming in, they have to have their own power source and their water source. So I saw that today. I will write a piece tomorrow. But if you guys didn't watch it, his pledge to companies like Google and Meta to stop jacking up your electrical bill to power their massive data centers. They want President Trump wants them to have their own source of energy. Okay, and that will save American families, thousands a year in electricity costs. Now, Cam, for years they forced expensive green energy down our throats. Okay, and because even the Democrats want cheap power for their AI, um, but they want us to subsidize their infrastructure. This is the Democrat response. What Trump is saying is that if big tech wants the power, they have to pay for it. What's wrong with that?
Why not? I was gonna say be self-sufficient. The biggest thing that I'm looking at is right now. This is I'm gonna call this a baby, and if we don't put guardrails in big tech right now, we're gonna have big pharma part two, but it's gonna be named big tech. And once they have a whole of the whole entire thing, where they're able to say, hey, we don't need to pay taxes. Here's our infrastructure, like it or not. And the only people who could afford that is going to be people who have, the income or the data centers. What's going to happen to the working person, middle class, lower class? It's going to leave people high and dry. So, yeah, I agree. We should have a sustainable plan for big tech. And if they don't have it, then they need to build one because it's not like they don't have any money. Pay me, pay
Well,
me, pay me, and I'll help them. Let's go.
so Kari, down south, the proposed data center, I think down in Adar, not Adar, but God, Oklahoma has these weird names like Paul something.
It's in
Anyway,
between
so
Ardmore
Okay.
and Ada.
no, wait, okay, Wayne Payne. They have a
Yeah.
proposed data center I heard in Wayne Payne, and how they plan to power it is using natural gas. Okay, they're going to stick a pipe in the ground and use that natural gas and use well water as their water solution. I think they're being proactive. Is that the way to go? Natural gas and well water.
Well, I have a little bit of information on this data center. And when they purchased the land, they did purchase the water and mineral rights, which means they own the natural gas in which the land resides on. So they have every legal right to power that plant with the mineral sources that they own, right? But what's happening, and the National Groundwater Association has a worldwide team of scientists right now working on rules and regs. Because what's
Mm-hmm.
happening on the water source is it is pulling an unreal amount of groundwater to keep the data center cool. And then,
Mm-hmm.
second, in that hydro loop, when they eventually dump it on the ground, the temperature of that water is destroying the microbiome. And so right now they're developing rules and regs. This is an 80 country project, not just the United States, of how do you control the water? They can only pull so much at a time from the groundwater. They can't just pull unlimited like we would at our home, right? There's a
Mm-hmm.
difference between
Mm-hmm.
4 people in a house and a data center, right? And so those rules and regs are right now currently being established through the National Groundwater Association. But that plant right there, I mean, to ever think that a company at that level accidentally bought that land not knowing those minerals existed there, I mean, it could happen. But if I was that company, I would do it too. I wouldn't want to pay OG&E and OEC for it. I'd rather own it, produce it myself. Win-win.
And the one thing you guys don't know is that we have somebody in our circle who knows this watersheds. And we will not tell him and say what his name is, but I'm wearing his shirt right now.
Right. It's kind of my dad.
Wait, you don't have the same last name. It's not your dad. Don't make it up. All right, let's go down to who's heard of this new bill, Senate Bill 1929. Kari, they're because to get the power to the data centers, they're building these massive transmission lines across Oklahoma. And so Senate Bill 1929 just passed committee, I think today or yesterday, to protect landowners from eminent domain abuse from these utility companies. So right now, if they seize your family farm for cheap one-time payouts, Senate Bill 1929 would force these companies to pay landowners an annual royalty fee, like $2 per foot. What is, I mean, that seems brilliant to me because we know a lot of folks, you're here in Norman, that they decided to put a turnpike in East Norman, my old district, and the people there are still fighting it, and they're using eminent domain to build the road. But we're not going to get into that conversation tonight. But this bill that protects family farms and transmission lines that would force them, if passed, I think it's a good idea that they receive an annual royalty fee.
Absolutely. I mean, you just turn a kilowatt into $1 and say profit share.
Cam, this is basic property rights here. So as Republicans and conservatives, we all and look. You can go back and look through my old YouTube videos when I did my town halls. I have always been a private property rights advocate, and you just can't trample the rural middle class for corporate profits. I see this bill getting passed and signed by the governor like soon. I don't see any roadblocks as of right now. I mean, there could be, but Cam, do you think that the corporate interests are going to put everything they have into killing this bill?
Of course, they're trying to get everything cheaper, easier, faster. Why are we gonna incentivize the rural community, the middle class, the lower class? Why do we need to do that? Yeah, this is where I will say, let's protect our people. Let's protect the middle class. Let's protect the rural class. You know, the farmers, the landowners. Let's protect these guys. And why not? This is a win-win for everybody, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is too. I
Absolutely.
think if a bill, Kerry, if there's anything we should fight for, it should be this bill to make sure it passes and gets to Kevin Stitt's desk before he's out of office, because I
Do we
think
know
this would.
where it's at right now? I can
Um,
research it while we're talking.
no, you can do it tomorrow. We can come back with
Okay.
an update next week. It just popped up on my radar, and I thought it'd be a good idea to discuss it.
Yeah.
Another bill that's making it through the legislature and committee. They're calling it the culture war bill, but I think it's a fight for the minds of our kids. So Senate Bill 1782 is moving through right now, and that is to abolish the tenure system for public university professors. Now, Cam, this bill, I don't know if you know Senator Randy Grellner, means that any professor hired after January 2027 won't get a job for life. They will be limited to a 5-year contract. That's it. And Grellner said in a press release that no taxpayer funded job should be exempt from honest evaluation. Is this a good bill, Cam?
I think so. You know, it keeps everybody in check. If you're a good professor, you're going to keep your job. If you're an awful professor and you have a bad attitude, get out of here. It's again, we're talking about smart business planning. If you have a good employee, cool. If you have a bad employee, get rid of them. This, it, to me, when someone says, "Oh, I'm a 10-year professor," to me, this means that you have additional guardrails just in case you get out of uh, your job. Let's say you become too woke, but you're 10 years. How can we get rid of you? Ooh, too many loops to jump through, too many hoops. That's what I mean.
Yeah, I agree. Kerry, for decades, professors have, we've had this conversation many times, used tenure as a shield. And in Norman, if you don't know, we have, I have nothing wrong with them sometimes. We have the two nutty professors. Um, Kerry, you know who I'm talking about, right?
Mhm. I do. Well, he's not a
Okay.
professor.
No, 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 no. Not, not the gay guy, former guy,
Oh, I
but
thought that's yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
no,
okay.
he is not a professor. So, but the two nutty professors, they're using
Yes.
tenure as a shield to really. Sometimes, look, I like some of their ideas, but it's their presentation style, um, you know, that is really off-putting. But for the most part, we refer to them as the two nutty professors. That's how the
Mhm.
Chamber of Commerce or somebody did an economic study on Norman and Cleveland County, and I think they were number 5 on the list of um, things that are detrimental to Norman, and
That's
they're
fun.
actually labeled the two nutty professors. So they get to keep their status, but can you imagine if this bill? I think it should be passed, that it would stop this kind of behavior from these woke Marxist ideologues, and any they shouldn't be sitting in a position for life, because if you send your kids to public schools or to OU, the parents are paying thousands of dollars for their kids to be indoctrinated knots, right? So
Yeah.
I think this is, we know Randy Grellner, he's a friend of ours. I think this one bill is actually on target, Carrie.
Well, and where Randy, having talked to him about this bill, Senator Grellner, Dr. Grellner is how I originally met him. Um, where he ended up drafting this bill is because of what happened to the student on OSU campus. And she was absolutely disenfranchised by a liberal minded professor. And the student did not believe the way she did. And so she was attacked, not physically, but verbally, and punished with her grade by not believing the same way as this liberal professor. And so, since the professor was tenured, they just relocated her to a different department
Mm,
instead of
mm, mm.
firing her. And their OSU claims their hands were tied. But here's what I say: there is a level of integrity that an employer should have on their staff at all levels. And when somebody's committed, say, 20 years to your institution, there should be a harder way to fire you than I don't like your religion, I don't like your political structure. There needs to be a meritocracy. And so I say this, the culture comes from the leadership up. Who's hiring these professors? Who's allowing this culture into their college? And to all of a sudden wake up today and act like it's an epiphany and cut people's heads off after they've dedicated 20, 30 years of their career to the institution, I really feel like there's a failure on the leadership.
I would agree with you, but I also would agree that these people who have been tenured for a long time think they're invulnerable to criticism, and
They
that
do.
I don't mind. Look, I don't mind a professor
I went
staying
there. I
on it.
remember who they, yeah.
Right. Look. We're not saying that people shouldn't stay on for life if they have built and expect to be there for life. Okay, there are a lot of good professors. I would even say that the two nutty professors do good too. Okay, it just sometimes they have some wacky ass ideas. It's just like you got to look back and say, "What the hell are you thinking about? This makes no sense." But that's still not a reason to fire you. I'm talking about behavioral issues like this. It's their behavior that's causing disruption, and they know
Yeah.
they can get away with it. That's
And that's
what
what needs
Randy
to
Grellner
change.
is trying to do. Okay, he's
Yeah.
trying to say, you
Yeah, we
can't
don't
get
need to
away
do
with
away
this.
with tenure. There needs to be a meritocracy base, and there's a violation of contract. I employ you, you're my employee, and if you violate the contract, you still have to follow certain rules. You're not untouchable.
But tenured professors, some do walk like they're God, and
Yeah,
they
they
just
need to be
cause a lot
checked.
of shit.
Yeah,
And you
they
know
need
Hey,
to
what?
be
it,
checked.
Because tenure protects them, but Cam, if a CEO loses money, he gets fired. And
Mhm.
all I'm saying, I agree with Randy Grunner on this, is that why are university professors the only people in America who get taxpayer-funded jobs for life with zero accountability? Cam,
Look, if you want to be a 10-year professor, it has to be worth it. Like you found the cure of all the cancers, you found the cure of how to fix diabetes, you have the cure for Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. If you discovered that, hey, I will pay your salary because it's
Absolutely.
needed. But someone who is like, oh, I think the color blue is the color yellow, no, stop it. you know.
Right.
But if it's like somebody
about
who finds something amazingly, yes, let's get this guy. Let's put him through everything. Let's hire this guy. Keep continuing more ideas. Innovate. Let's go. But
I think the idea is to force universities to prioritize real education, and I'm not
Yeah.
using air quotes to say real education. Prioritizing STEM, business, practical skills over
Mhm.
activism. What he's saying is that it's a meritocracy. Yes, we want you to continue practicing in your chosen field as an expert, but when that becomes activism and activist in schools and the surrounding sounds, I don't think you're providing real value to the students or the town or the parents, and your
Mhm.
contract should not get renewed. That's pretty much the gist of this bill. So I think
yeah,
that if you support these bills, if you're watching this, call your senator and tell them to support SB 1929 to protect our rural land from utility companies, and then call them also they need to support 1782 to end professor tenure. I think Kari, if I'm not mistaken, I think this one made it out of committee, right? I haven't talked to Grandy,
I'm
but I
not
think it
sure.
has. We'll
Yeah, I'm
find
not
out the
sure on
next
that
time
one.
when we come back. We'll find out. These are important bills here. I mean tonight. Look, we had a lot of conversation about important things that happen. I think President Trump is right on target with his interpretation of what his constitutional duties are, and you know we just have to move forward. And all he's doing, look, he's doing this for the American people and for a safer world. And everything he does is for everybody, whether you be a Democrat, far left, far right, independent, libertarian, whatever. He's doing it to protect American lives. And I support it because I've seen firsthand these insurgent terrorist activities against our troops. All right. And we've waited 47 years for a president to come and say, hey, we've had enough of this bullshit and I'm going to end it now. So I will support him in whatever he does. And if you're a Democrat or if you're a Republican who thinks that he's not following the Constitution, I would ask you to relook and re-examine your position on what it means for a president to finally put America first. And that means protecting outside our borders so they don't come and attack us here. That's, if you get anything from the show tonight, that's pretty much gist. And, if I had my land back in Ward 5 and we get the royalties for life, I would actually dig that. That bill would be great. So anyways, last word, Cam, we'll start with, actually, since you're on vacation, you're laid back and you're all brown and tan, and Kari and we had powered through. So
We had real life adulting.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry.
no.
I went and had a good time. Let me go swim
Cam
in this
was
pool, 85 degrees, while you guys were
Cam
freezing.
was Cam was vacationing from adulting, and he deserved it. So, Kari, I'll start with you. Any last words? Anything you got going on this week? Anything we should know about?
I encourage all of you to get involved, know your legislators, know what bills are coming up, and know who's running. And it's very important to get in front of them and make them tell you what they stand for. Don't settle for, I'm the most conservative, I'm a Christian conservative, all of the adjectives out there. Make them tell you what they stand for and what their plan is for your community and your district. I know we have voter apathy in Oklahoma. We feel like our vote doesn't count because of all the voter fraud that all our jurisdictions don't want to address and cover up. But I'm telling you, if we don't show up and vote, we lose all control. So show up and vote and demand your vote count. Now, Rarchar and I are putting on a big meet and greet for my dad next Thursday at his house. Rarchar has it posted on his site. If you'd like to come, please RSVP. We would love everyone to come.
Very good. Cam, Mr. Vacation.
Wow. Let me bring my tan skin this way. Hey, so last week, we had the State of the Union address, and Trump almost talked for 2 hours. And I will say, out of those 2 hours, there's a section where he talks about, I care about the American citizens. And when you look at one area, the Republicans standing, and then you see the Democrats not standing, it kind of makes you think, should these guys should we reelect these guys, because they're not here for me, they're here for other people other than the citizens. So, just go look on YouTube and just take a quick glance on that, because you could tell who's there for you and who's not there to advocate for you. So, hey, the more you know, the stronger you're going to be.
That's right.
That is
You don't know what you don't
very
know.
good, very good points, both of you guys. And I would like to add to that I think Americans understand that we're pretty much on the same side. And somebody told me a couple of years ago that we're all parts of the same bird, the left wing and the right wing. And the fighting that we have these conversations, I think that we should have conversations with people who don't agree with us or have an R after their name. There's nothing wrong with having a relationship with a Democrat or independent. You don't have to agree, but I think you should have mutual respect for each other, because how can we have discussions on the most important things that affect our community if we can't even talk to the person? And for those folks that are running for office, we've heard this before, I'm the most conservative, I'm the most whatever, fill in the blank. I think nobody gives a shit anymore. Okay, they're tired of hearing that. Tell us what
We
you're going
need
to do.
change.
We need somebody. What'd you say?
We need
Kari?
change. We need
No,
change.
well, I wouldn't say we need change, but what we need is authenticity. Okay, stop telling us what your adjectives are, and just do what you say you're going to do when you get in office. I mean, we see it all the time. People run for office and get our votes, and they turn out to be total douchebags. I can say that,
Lame.
and it's true. They
That's
have
why it's so
disappointed
important
us.
to make sure who you vote for as a leader, because if they're a pushover, they will just be pushed around at the Capitol and do you no service.
Well, I'm saying, do you mind if I have my time back?
Nope.
I'm speaking. I'm
Go get
speaking.
it. Go get it.
I want my time back. Senator, I want my time back. Okay, now that I have my time back, I'm going to finish my thoughts. My thought is that, you can't always choose a person to say that they're this and that. You have to look at everything they've done in life up to that point when they said, hey, I'm running for office. All right, we need somebody who's going to make change, who's actually going to do the work, who's actually done the work. Okay, and we don't need any more of these clowns that said they're running for office and, oh, I'm more conservative, I'm more Christian. Oh, bullshit. We've seen it so many times, and I've been disappointed so many times. And so we want good people to run for office, and there are a lot of good candidates out there who are just, they want a better life, and not for themselves, but for their fellow Oklahomans. And they're willing to put their time, resources, and money out there to run statewide races, and they don't do this if they didn't have a love for their family and their community. And so when you guys, we're not telling you who to choose, the race hasn't started yet, even though it has. Many seats are being run for statewide, governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general. Pick the person that matches your values, that you want to say, hey, if you can see yourself in that position alongside them and support what they're saying on their campaign trail, that's who you support. But don't fall in the trap when they say I'm the most conservative or the most Christian or whatever. All right? Because when they say that, 99% of the time, they're not that. And we've seen that. And with that, Robert Keyes is running in Senate District 24. And we have a meet and greet for him on March 12th. We encourage everybody to come and meet somebody who's made it his life to do good for people in his life. And rarely do we have a candidate like Robert Keyes that has put his time and resources the way he thinks that he's not telling people what to do, he's just doing it. But he's not saying, look at me, I'm doing this. And you would never know of the lives that man has changed. Okay. I mean, look at Kari. She went off to the desert like Moses for 2 weeks or 2 months, and she came back a brand new person.
Came back with curly hair.
Inside joke. Inside joke. If you get to know Kari, she might share that experience with you.
If you know me, you know
But
about the desert for 2.5 months.
anyways, so this was a good show tonight. I want to thank everyone for showing up tonight and get involved. Your voice actually matters right now. And we'll talk to you guys next week. Thank you.